So let's talk about the mover, who is active and straightforward. So more or less, the mover has a strong personality, right? They're not very shy. They can easily talk. They can make friends easily. They have a lot of energy. They're also approachable. Here's the thing, before I show you the tips on how to communicate with such people. Just knowing that we have our own profile should make us realize that, if us in this group, we have our own profiles, then in the bigger world out there, and especially among the clients, then there are movers, there are thinkers, there are connectors, and there are planners. So this is the importance here. That's the significance. If we're aware that there are such profiles, then we should know how we can communicate and connect with them better by accepting the profiles. Okay, so if we know that we are dealing with a mover, so it mentions sound bites. What are sound bites? Sound bites are like easy to remember sentences, right? Sound bites. Okay, an example is the sooner the better, right? It's easy to remember, right? I don't need to explain blah 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 blah. No, sound bites will work better with them. The sooner the better, or keep it short and simple, right? Something that can be easily remembered. It's almost a slogan. It's almost like just do it or we find ways. It's almost like that. And it's easier for the mover to remember that. Now, move with them while they multitask. So let's say you're visiting the person in their office and they're moving from the file cabinet to their desk and then to make coffee in the cafeteria. Move with them and talk with them. They would not want to be sitting there with you talking. They want to be able to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. And, they work better if they're moving. They can communicate with you better if they're moving. So do that. Move with them and allow options and flexibility. Like, don't keep them seated there, right? That's being flexible, moving with them. And then don't be too serious. They are serious people, but you don't have to be, too serious that the air is heavy and the discussion is heavy. All right, so that's the mover. The connector, who's the connector here? Try to determine whether the person you're talking to is a mover or a connector, and then apply what you need to apply. Here are the tips. So I would like to personally acknowledge the connectors here. So they like to be acknowledged. Maybe, is it true you like to be acknowledged? Even in a small way, not necessarily in a big way. In the extreme case that you are quiet or you're passive, you avoid confrontation, you don't want to offend, what is the effect on you? If you didn't express your disagreement or your disappointment, or you don't think it's a good idea, what happens in an extreme case to you personally or even to the project or the task? Do you have regrets? All right. Next, the thinker, who is objective and strategic, sometimes to the point that they are insensitive or inflexible. Do you feel when somebody asks you questions that it's an interrogation? They're testing you, what you're saying. No, it's nothing personal. They really just want to understand the parameters of what we are saying. To what extent is item A? To what extent is item B? What will break item A? What will break item B? If you had all the resources you needed, how soon can we finish this? Right? They just need your input because they're thinkers, right? They need your input to be able to process better. All right. So to the thinkers, please indicate whether you agree or not. I think it's okay to disagree, or maybe partially agree and then partially disagree. Right. The last one is the planner. The planner is very practical. They're decisive because they have planned. They are confident, right? A lot of confidence comes from being prepared. Because they're prepared, they're confident. But then, because of too much preparation on their part, they can be impatient and also insensitive. So they have the need to control and to dominate. So we now know the profiles and how to communicate with them better, right? Is there someone within your world, okay, at work, that you have a hard time communicating with? Like you don't know how best, you're not sure, you're never sure how to best communicate with that person, whether it's a client or a boss or your boss's boss. Is there somebody who's, you know, who, who's challenging to talk to? Not because they're nasty or mean, just it's just that you're not sure about how best to connect with them. All right. So I think that's another important pointer for us, right? We know that our communication is effective if how we intended it to be understood is how they actually understood it. So it's a very good measure or standard. Did they understand it the way I intended for them to understand it or no? But I think over time you've been mastering the Australians' way of communicating, right? They said there are fewer irate callers in the Australian account. By irate, we mean yelling, cursing, and very mean in the call. So the Americans tend to express themselves that way more. The Australians do not, and they're patient also. That's just how they manage, how they feel, whether they're upset or angry or not. They will not make you feel it, although they might be angry deep inside. So that's really interesting. They're more patient, but they deep inside they can be upset.